I heard you didn't know there's a bank in the UK that is giving people 7% interest on their deposits. I am personally using it to save towards my visa renewal. And because I know the amount and I know it is coming, Kianiki, I would have to pay for it. And why not get some high interest on it while I save towards it? It is called Zupa Bank. It is specifically the biscuit account. It allows you to put £300 in every single month and then you will earn your interest on it. I've been using it since last year and my money has been growing. So if you haven't added it to your financial system, I'm not sure what you are doing now. Every single month without fail, I make sure something enters. So let me ask you, are you also using the Zupa Biscuits account or this is the first time you are hearing of it? Let's chat in the comments. And follow me for your UK financial hacks.
Let's go. No, I'm going to answer the question. No, I haven't heard of this, but interestingly enough, this actually brings up something that's super important. And I thank our young queen for sharing this because it's absolutely powerful to know where your money is going to go. But one of the key sentences that she shared is, if you're not adding this to your financial system. I think one of the challenges we have in our community is we are creating full financial systems around savings and having no understanding about systems. And I think there's a very big difference between the two, between savings and systems. As I often say, you can't use school tactics to achieve non-school outcomes. Financial freedom is a non-school outcome, but savings is a school tactic. And the moment we get our head around that, guess what? We put ourselves in the best position to actually start to present our future with more opportunities. Instead of just focusing on savings, the 6%, the 7%, the 8%, the 9%, what happens is people are running around trying to get the highest percentage all the time. Instead of actually saying to themselves, hold on a minute, where are the systems that I'm using? Systems in terms of dollar cost averaging, systems in terms of cash flow creation, systems where I can put my revenue after tax into some kind or form of a vehicle and allow that vehicle to perform for me and my family in order for us to create true legacy. I think that's the big key cornerstone that's missing from the financial landscape of the community. Us taking that time, taking a moment or two to actually start realizing how the real wealth can start to come through. Now, I don't know if I'm just in a world of my own thinking about this, but if this is something that resonates with you, let me know as well. Let me know if I'm the only one, or if this is actually something that our community can get done. Because so often we're living in a perpetual cycle of doing things that are promoted to us. But one of the things sometimes I take a step back and think about the actual world we live in. We live in a world where the Lamborghinis of the world do not advertise. We live in a world where the Bentleys, the Rolls Royces, those premium supercars, the McLarens, they don't advertise. So how much more can we take a leaf out of that book and start to understand, hold on a minute, does that mean that the big boys aren't on Front Street literally opening their doors and saying, hey, this is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do? And this is leading me to really think about this conceptual idea of the difference between the savings and the difference between the systems. Because if we focus all our time on building up worthy savings, but we never utilize those savings inside of appropriate financial systems, what happens is we're literally giving ourselves a disadvantage in the financial landscape. So I'll break this down because I think this is important. When we get focused on savings, we're at the mercy of whatever percentage is going to be given to us by the specific institution or the lender. So in the example that was just given, we are getting excited about a 7.1% interest. Now, I'm going to be transparent. If you understand the rule of 72 and you utilize the rule of 72 with that 7.1% interest rate, yes, you're going to be doubling your money a lot sooner than if you were generating 2%, 3%, or 4% interest, which is what many other people, some people are still stuck on the 0.1% interest, right? So yes, 7.1% interest is much better in the world of savings. But as I've mentioned, the key to build wealth is not in savings. The key to build wealth is actually in systems, financial systems, where it's not just your muscles that are making money for you because you go to work and you use your energy and you work with high propensity, but it's actually more of your resources. It's your mind making money for you. That's called IP, or intellectual property. When you've created something, you have an invention, for example, and people are paying for that invention, or royalties, for example, example, again, that comes from the mind. Let's say you wrote a song, okay, and now people are singing your song all day long and you're getting paid for that on and on. That's the same thing. Why? Because now your mind is making money. You can even have your mouth making money for you. If you are an orator and, for example, you speak a course or training or you deliver a message. I remember growing up being dragged to church by my mum. Many of the UK pastors that were well known used to sell CDs, used to sell tapes, cassette tapes, for those of us who are old enough to know what I'm talking about. And those CDs and cassette tapes that they'd sell for £5, £10 a piece will generate income. It will generate revenue. Why? Because that's a system. You speak once, it gets recorded, put on wax, as we used to say, and it gets sent out there to generate revenue for you. So these are the differences between a system and between savings. A system is where your, yes, muscles may be making you money at one level, but you transition out of just your muscles making you money into a place where your mind is making you money, into a place where your mouth is making you money. And for those of us who aren't ready for any of those, there's one which is super easier. And this is the reason why I'm always advocating systems over savings. And that's when your money is making you money. You see, a long time ago, when I was a young child growing up in London, I'd always hear people tell me you need money to make money. And I've come to learn that you don't need money to make money, but you can use money to make you more money. This is why the old adage is so true, which actually comes from the Bible, which says the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And one of the reasons why the rich get richer is because they leverage their existing money to assist them to make more money. So for example, if you're using dollar cost averaging, that's where you take a specific exact amount of money every single month and you put it into the same thing. Even if that thing goes up, even if that thing goes down, you are buying the same thing again and again and again at the same rough time every single month. Now, by you doing that every single month, when it goes up, yes, you pay a bit more for it. When it goes down, you actually get it for a discount. And over a period of time, let's say it's a year, you've actually got it for a specific price on average. That's why it's called dollar cost averaging, or you can consider it as pound cost averaging. Now, that is a system which is different to savings. And the thing we have to get our head around is savings has its place, okay? But savings is never going to be as valuable as tapping into a system. And you might be saying, you might disagree with me. You might be like, Samuel, you don't know what you're talking about. Savings is the way. Well, here's a question I often ask my closest friends. If saving is so good, how comes the moment we put our savings into the bank where we're saving, the bank doesn't say this is such a great idea and then go and put it in another bank where they're saving? The question we really have to ask ourselves, we really have to get to grips with, and we really have to become transparent about, is that whole notion of do what they do, don't just do what they say. And if we look at what the banking institutions do, they take the money from people like me and people like you, and then they go and invest it. They do not save too. So when we see that, guess what that teaches us? That teaches us that the actual path to generate revenue, as prescribed by the people with all the revenue or the majority of the revenue, is to actually deploy that money in order for that money to make them more money. And what do? They go out there and they lend some of that money. They borrow that money to people they call debtors who go and buy houses, and then they get paid the mortgage. And that mortgage is what? Part interest, okay, which they then obviously pass on to you in some way, shape, or form, but also part capital, okay? And usually, for those of us who are financially savvy, what do we know? It's usually more interest, especially if you've got a buy-to-let portfolio with interest-only mortgages. It's usually more interest than it is capital, especially for the large amount of the beginning of that process. So this is something we really need to get our head around. There's nothing wrong with saving, but saving has its place. And something more valuable than saving is the systems that we need to put in place. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on some of the things that have been shared in this video. I'd love to know in the comments below. Let me know if you think saving is more important than having a system. Let me know if you are currently using a system. And if you are currently using a system, what system are you using and how has that benefited or blessed you? Because the reality is, it's one thing to have money. It's another thing to be able to leave an inheritance for our children's children. And in order for us to be able to do that, we're going to have to teleport past savings and literally transpose into having systems. Samuel, I Can Win. I'm signing out. If you got value from this video, like, comment, and subscribe and become a part of the tribe. And I'll see you on the next one as you remember that small keys open up big doors. Good day. God bless. Let's go.
Small keys open big doors.